I never thought I'd be the type of man who would one day question whether he truly knew his wife. Emma and I had been together for 8 years, married for 5, with one beautiful daughter, Lily, who had just turned 6. On the surface, we were the typical happy family you'd see in a commercial. She was the organized, fun-loving mom who always seemed to have everything under control. I was the quieter, steady one, the kind of husband who never forgot anniversaries and still left her little notes in her coffee mug before heading to work. Things weren't perfect, of course. No marriage is. But I always thought we were strong enough to survive anything. Even when she started spending more time with the moms from Lily's school and talking about needing to feel alive again, I didn't take it as a warning sign. I chalked it up to her being restless, maybe feeling like life was too routine now that we were in the grind of work, school schedules, and bills. The day everything began unraveling was Lily's birthday party. It was one of those big, chaotic events with 30 kids running around, balloons everywhere, and parents trying to make polite small talk over 2 sweet cupcakes. Emma had insisted we hire a professional entertainer this year, someone to keep the kids busy so she didn't have to play ringmaster. That's how I first saw him, Ryan the animator. He showed up in a bright green shirt, carrying a huge bag of props. He was probably in his late 20s, tall, with an easy smile that made the kids flock to him instantly. He had this kind of effortless charm that made him seem like he belonged everywhere. Within minutes, he had Lily and her friends mesmerized with balloon animals and silly voices. I didn't think much of it. I was busy grilling burgers, talking to my brother, and keeping an eye on the soda table where a couple of kids were getting dangerously close to spilling an entire 2-liter bottle. But when I turned around at one point, I noticed Emma standing by the back fence, laughing at something Ryan said. Not the polite kind of laugh you give a stranger, but that genuine, unguarded kind. I remember feeling a strange twinge. Not jealousy, at least not yet, but something. A flicker of discomfort. I tried to shake it off. She was just being friendly. Later, while Ryan was doing face painting, I went inside to grab more napkins and caught a glimpse of Emma in the kitchen. She was leaning against the counter while he filled his water bottle. They weren't doing anything inappropriate, just talking, but the way they looked at each other, it was subtle. The kind of thing you might miss if you weren't paying attention. When the party wrapped up, Ryan helped pack up the decorations. Emma thanked him for saving her sanity with this huge smile that seemed a little too warm. He handed her a business card in case she ever needed entertainment again, and she tucked it into her pocket without even showing it to me. That night, after Lily was asleep, I asked her, "So, you really like the guy, huh? Thinking of hiring him again?" She hesitated a second too long before answering. "Yeah, he was good with the kids. Nice guy." Then she changed the subject quickly, asking if I'd remembered to pay the electric bill. I brushed it off. Why wouldn't I trust her? We had a family, a life together. Emma wasn't the kind of woman who'd stray. At least, that's what I told myself. Over the next couple of weeks, I started noticing small changes. She was on her phone more, smiling at messages she wouldn't show me. She suddenly started wearing a little more makeup on days she wasn't going anywhere special. And she seemed distracted. One Saturday morning, Lily was playing in the living room while Emma was in the kitchen answering emails. When I walked in quietly to ask if she wanted coffee, I saw her quickly tilt her phone away. She muttered something about a PTA message, but her cheeks were flushed. I didn't press it. Maybe I should have. Then came the school fundraiser, where they needed volunteers to plan the event. Emma insisted on helping. The thing was, the entertainment for the fundraiser ended up being, of course, Ryan. "Isn't it funny he's available?" she said casually, like it was pure coincidence. Something inside me shifted that day. For the first time in our marriage, I felt the quiet hum of suspicion. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for what I'd discover next. The fundraiser was on a warm Saturday afternoon, the kind of day that should have felt cheerful but instead carried a weird undercurrent of tension. Emma was in charge of coordinating the decorations, and Ryan had been hired to keep the kids entertained again. When we arrived, Ryan was already there, setting up his props and testing the microphone. Emma went straight over to him, her face lighting up in a way that felt different, brighter, almost nervous. I watched her brush a stray lock of hair behind her ear as she laughed at something he said. It was the kind of small, subconscious gesture I'd seen before, but not toward me in a long time. I told myself I was imagining it. Maybe I was being paranoid. She was just being friendly. The afternoon went smoothly enough. Parents milled around, sipping lemonade, kids ran from one booth to the next, and Ryan kept them laughing with his silly routines. But every time I glanced at Emma, she was either talking to him or watching him like he was the only person in the room. After the event wrapped up, Ryan offered to help her pack things up. I said I'd take Lily home and asked Emma if she wanted a ride. "You go ahead," she said too quickly. "I'll catch a ride with Marcy after we're done." I nodded, but something about her tone, it wasn't casual. It was rehearsed. That was the first time a real, heavy doubt settled in my gut. When I got home with Lily, I couldn't sit still. I paced around the kitchen, my mind looping with questions. I even considered driving back to the school just to see for myself. But then I told myself that would be crazy. She wouldn't do that. She couldn't. Emma didn't come home for another 2 hours. When she finally walked through the door, she was flushed, her hair slightly messy, her smile too bright. "Sorry I'm late," she said. We grabbed coffee after cleanup. "Coffee?" I asked casually. "Yeah, with Marcy," she said, setting her bag down without looking at me. "We just needed a break." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her. But the next week, the changes became harder to ignore. She started going out for errands more often. She was more protective of her phone, turning it face down on the counter when she got messages. And one night, when she thought I was asleep, I heard her quietly giggling at something, whispering in that soft voice she used to save just for me. It all came to a head one Thursday afternoon. I'd come home early from work because a meeting was canceled. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed a car parked a little ways down the street. It wasn't one I recognized. The house was quiet when I stepped inside. Too quiet. I set down my briefcase and called out, "Emma?" No answer. I walked toward the back of the house, past the living room and into the kitchen. And then I froze. From upstairs, faint but unmistakable, I heard it. A soft laugh. Hers. And then, a man's voice. I stood there for a moment, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. My vision blurred with this mix of disbelief and fury. I wanted to storm up there, but some strange instinct made me move slowly, silently. I climbed the stairs, each step heavier than the last. The voices grew clearer. When I reached our bedroom door, it was cracked open. I didn't need to push it further. I saw enough through that narrow gap. Emma. My wife. The woman I'd built a life with. She was on the edge of our bed, leaning into Ryan. His hand was on her cheek, her fingers tangled in his hair. And then she kissed him. Not a quick, hesitant kiss. It was the kind of kiss full of heat, the kind you only give someone you've wanted for a long time. My knees went weak. My stomach turned. I wanted to look away but couldn't. I think I made a sound, something between a gasp and a choked breath, because Emma suddenly froze. Her head whipped toward the door, and our eyes met. The look on her face. I'll never forget it. Shock. Guilt. And something else that hurt even more, fear. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice trembling. Ryan turned, his expression going pale when he saw me. I couldn't speak. I couldn't even breathe. I just stood there, staring at the two of them in the room that was supposed to be ours. Emma scrambled to her feet. "It's not what it looks like," she blurted out, the oldest, most pathetic line in the book. I laughed. It was bitter, hollow. "Really?" I said, my voice cold. "Because it looks exactly like what it is." For a moment, none of us moved. The room felt suffocating. Finally, I stepped back from the door. Get out. I didn't care which one of them I was talking to. I just wanted them gone. Ryan muttered something, an apology? I don't even know. He grabbed his things and brushed past me, avoiding my eyes. Emma stood frozen, tears welling up but no words coming out. I walked downstairs, grabbed my car keys, and left. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't stay there. That was the moment everything shattered. The life I thought we had? Gone in an instant. I drove aimlessly that evening, the city lights blurring past as my mind replayed what I'd seen in a relentless loop. Emma, in our bedroom, kissing another man. The same woman I'd sworn to love and protect, the mother of my child, the person I trusted more than anyone else. I ended up parking by the lake near our house. It was quiet there, just the sound of water lapping gently against the shore. I sat in the car for hours, trying to make sense of something that could never truly make sense. Eventually, I went back. When I walked in, the house was dark except for the faint glow coming from the kitchen. Emma was sitting at the table, her hands clasped together, eyes red and swollen. She looked up as I stepped in, like she'd been waiting, rehearsing what to say. "Daniel," she whispered. Her voice cracked. Please just listen." I didn't answer. I dropped my keys on the counter and leaned against it, arms crossed, staring at her with a numbness I didn't recognize in myself. "It wasn't supposed to happen," she began, her words tumbling out quickly. "I didn't plan this. I never wanted to hurt you." I let out a short, humorless laugh. "You didn't want to hurt me? Emma, you were in our bed with him." Her face twisted with shame. I know how it looks. But it wasn't like I woke up one day and decided to betray you. I've been feeling lost. Like I don't know who I am anymore. I thought being a wife, a mom, would be enough, but somewhere along the way, I started feeling invisible. And Ryan, he made me feel seen. Alive. Her words stung more than I wanted to admit. "So what? I didn't make you feel alive anymore?" I asked quietly. She looked down. "It's not that simple. I love you, Daniel. I swear I do. But somewhere, I lost myself, and with him. I felt something I hadn't in a long time." I shook my head slowly. "Love? You call this love?" "No," she cried. "It wasn't love. It was escape. Stupid, selfish escape." Silence hung between us. For a moment, all I could hear was the faint hum of the refrigerator. Finally, I spoke. My voice was calm, but inside I felt like I was splintering apart. "Do you know what it's like to stand at the doorway of your own bedroom and see the person you trust most in the world betray you? To feel like the ground you're standing on just gave out?" Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I would do anything to take it back." I closed my eyes, fighting the lump in my throat. Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't erase what I saw. We sat there in silence. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. The rage I thought I'd feel was replaced by something colder, finality. Eventually, I said the words I never thought I'd say, "I can't stay here tonight." She reached out instinctively, but I stepped back. "Please don't," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I packed a small bag, kissed Lily on the forehead while she slept, and walked out the door. The weeks that followed were a blur of pain and decisions I didn't want to make. I stayed with my brother for a while. Emma called, texted, begged me to meet her, to talk. Sometimes I answered, sometimes I didn't. When we did talk, it always ended the same way. She apologized. She tried to explain the loneliness she felt, the way she thought I was distant even when I thought I was being stable. She admitted it had been going on for a couple of weeks, but that it hadn't gone further than kissing. I didn't believe her. There was counseling. A couple of sessions where we sat awkwardly, talking about our needs, while I tried not to picture Ryan's hands on her. The therapist asked me if I could forgive her. I didn't know. I still don't know. Because forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And I'll never forget that moment at the bedroom door. For Lily's sake, we tried to keep things civil. We even had a few dinners together, trying to act like a family. But every time I looked at Emma, I saw the betrayal, and I knew something had broken between us that could never be whole again. Eventually, I moved into my own place. A small apartment not far from Lily's school. We settled into a strange rhythm, shared custody, polite conversations about schedules and school events. Emma still says she regrets it every day. Maybe she does. Maybe she really was lost. But sometimes people don't come back from the mistakes they make. I'm not sure what the future holds. Maybe one day I'll forgive her. Maybe one day she'll forgive herself. But right now, I'm just trying to rebuild piece by piece the man I was before the day everything changed.